Shirley Sherrod is with me now from Albany, Georgia. And Shirley, let's take our time and walk through this together. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay. Shirley, just a straightforward, fundamental question here. Did you discriminate against this white farmer, Roger Spooner? He was facing foreclosure 24 years ago. And again, this was before you were working for the United States Department of Agriculture. Did you discriminate against him?
No, I did not discriminate against him. And in fact, I went all out. I had to frantically look for a lawyer at the last minute because the first lawyer we went to was not doing anything to really help them. In fact, that lawyer suggested they should just let the farm go. All of that process, that's why I tell it, because everything that happened in dealing with him, he was the first white farmer who had come to me for help. Everything that I did working with him helped me to see that it wasn't about race. It's about those who have and those who don't. That farmer, the farmer's home had done something to him that I haven't seen them do to any black farmer. And they had actually rented his land to someone else when they didn't have a right to do that. He still had title to the land. That's why he couldn't qualify to file Chapter 12 bankruptcy. That's why, in the end, we had to try to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy to stop the forced sale the first Tuesday in June.
All right, I'm going to ask it again slightly differently. Again, did you discriminate against this white farmer 24 years ago when you were, I guess, about 38 years old because he brought you what you described in your March NAACP speech as a superior attitude?
You know, initially, and that's why I said that, I took the time to weave what was happening there. He did come with a superior attitude, but I didn't discriminate. If I had discriminated against him, I would not have given him any help at all because I wasn't obligated to do it by anyone. I wasn't working for the government. I didn't have to help him, but I did. And I went on. That was the first white farmer I helped. I went on to help hundreds of others through the years.
I'm trying to understand your reaction to what you described as a superior attitude. Was your reaction perhaps, look, why are you taking this attitude with me? I sit here in a position to help you, and yet you bring this attitude to me. Did that cross your mind at all? And did you act upon
Certainly,
those
I didn't act upon it. You know, I'm from the South. I've lived in the South all my life, and I know how black people were treated by white people during those years. My own father was murdered by one, but I didn't let that get in the way of trying to help. I don't know why it's so difficult to see. I didn't have to help that farmer. I could have sent him out the door without giving him any help at all. But in the end, we became very good friends, and that friendship lasted for some years.
Explain the statement in the recording that goes, so I didn't give him the full force of what I could do. You
know, I could have tried to rally other farmers in support of him. I didn't know of any black farmers who would come out to try to support a white farmer at that point. That's something I could have done for black farmers. I didn't know. This was my first time dealing with trying to help a white farmer save his land. I wasn't really sure of what I could do because at that time I thought they had the advantages. I learned that that was not the case in working with this farmer.
And then you went on to say, I did enough. What was enough in the case of Roger Spooner?
I took him, you mean initially, I took him to a lawyer who had attended some training for lawyers on Chapter 12 bankruptcy. But in the end, that lawyer wasn't doing anything. And when the Spooners called me and said he wasn't, then I jumped into action. It took me a couple of hours calling everyone I knew. I even called to other states trying to find a lawyer who would file a Chapter 11 bankruptcy to stop the sale of his land at the courthouse steps. I was successful in the end.
During your time with the USDA, was there ever a discrimination claim filed against you?
No, never. I went out of my way to, and we didn't work directly with farmers at rural development. We were working with cities, with sewer problems, with police cars, with health centers, with housing. That agency is the one agency, so we say, that could build a city. I didn't do any work, and I didn't discriminate, and I went out of my way to make sure no one who came to the agency was discriminated against. And in fact, during my tenure there, I targeted 9 of the poorest counties in the state to do outreach work. I had outreach meetings in all of those counties. I even started working with other USDA agencies and state agencies so that we could coordinate our efforts in these areas. And in fact, this coming Thursday was the first meeting where we were going to pilot that, and that was in a county here in southwest Georgia, Calhoun County.
All right, so Shirley, if you didn't discriminate against anyone during your time at USDA, or at least no one filed such a claim, do you accept the statement from Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack that there is, and quoting here, there is zero tolerance for discrimination at USDA?
I'm assuming there is. I don't know, but I'm assuming there is. I know I didn't discriminate, and I made it very clear to the staff there at USDA that it wouldn't be tolerated during my tenure.
So why are you out?
I said it over and over again.
Why are you out?
Pardon?
Why are you out?
Why am I out? They asked me to resign. And in fact, they harassed me as I was driving back to the state office from West Point, Georgia yesterday. I had at least 3 calls telling me the White House wanted me to resign.
So the pressure came from the White House.
And the last one asked me to pull over to the side of the road and do it.
You willing to name names?
And that's exactly what I did.
Are you willing to name
Pardon?
names? Are you willing to name names?
Oh, I can tell you that was Cheryl Cook, the deputy undersecretary. She called me and said, because she called me and I said, Cheryl, I got a 3.5-hour ride to get into Athens. She called me a second time. Where are you now? I said, I'm just going through Atlanta. She called me again. I said, I'm at least 45 minutes to an hour from Athens. She said, well, Shirley, they want you to pull over to the side of the road and do it, because you're going to be on Glenn Beck tonight.
Wow. So the administration pressured you out?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I don't feel good about it because I know I didn't do anything wrong. And I know during my time at USDA, I gave it all I had. I worked when I didn't feel like it. I pushed the staff to get out there in places they had not been into before. Like I said, the 9 counties I targeted, I asked them shortly after getting there, tell me what rural development has been doing in these areas. And when they did that, there were zeros in a lot of places. And I knew this was an area where we needed to target. We need to get the programs out into some of these areas that need it, just like some other areas that had gotten the funding over and over again.
So I want to be really specific here, and I apologize for, I just have to do it. So you get 1, 2, 3 calls from Ms. Cook, and at the point that you have the conversation, that it is made clear to you that you need to go. How does that conversation go? What is said to you?
The very first one, I guess there were like 4 calls, because the very first one was before I got in my car to go to Athens. She said I was being put on administrative leave. The next call after I sat waiting and waiting because she told me she would call me right back. The next call said that they're going to have to ask me to resign.
Do you feel as though you had an opportunity to state your side of the story?
No, I didn't. The administration didn't. They were not interested in hearing the truth. No one wanted to hear the truth.